I'm going to take advantage of the few seconds that Jen has to get to her clock to see this. I am not prepared. I didn't think I had anything to say about tonight's topic, but then hearing all these cool stories, it just set me musing. So let's see where it goes. Please bear with me. I apologize in advance. It's only now years after both my grandmothers and my godmother have passed away that I feel safe to admit in public that it is unlikely that I will be the Pope. So, many years just so context. My mother raised in a very Catholic Italian family on the East Coast. She and all her sisters went to, a Catholic school, the whole shebang. My dad, by contrast, a very Catholic Irish family, and all his older sisters went to Catholic school, was dad with the Knights of Columbus, we had the whole deal going. So I started out like full-bore Catholic right out of the womb, and everything was sort of laid out as the oldest grandson on one side of the family, and second oldest by 2 months, so really, on the other side, I was going to be the altar boy, priest, but it was all the way charted by my family. Didn't happen. But I went for it early on. I went to Catholic school for 1 year and 2 months. Because in second grade, I realized all my friends on my street, my buddies who were going to public school, were learning how to write in cursive. And they were still making us print with the 3 lines and the dotted line in the middle, the whole shebang. And I wanted to learn how to write in cursive. So my folks said, okay, and I got transferred to public school. And I felt terrible about it. I felt very guilty. So much so that when in 8th grade, I was like, I'm definitely going to a Catholic high school. I'm going to go to Paul VI. I'm going to go to St. Augustine, one of the two. And we went and we interviewed the 2 schools. And I vividly remember being at Paul VI and the priest going over the curriculum. And so, there's this language, you also got to take Latin as well. I'm like, I have to take Latin? Are you kidding me? Give me Latin, that's awesome. I love this. And there's, religion classes as well. Like, all right, I go to church, I got this handled. And then they said, you have to take pre-algebra. I said, well, I took pre-algebra, I'm good with it. No, you've got to take pre-algebra. And I couldn't quite wrap my head around that because, what's the difference? Is there Catholic math? It's just numbers. And that stuck with me. I was like, I don't want to go back, I want to learn more. And my folks were like, okay. And they let me go to public high school. And this is what happens when I say to priest, and now it's out of order, but I vividly remember being, as a child, going to public school, still getting my religion from CCD classes on Saturday. I don't even remember what that stands for. It's catechism? Does anybody remember?
Communion confirmation done.
Oh. In this case, I got halfway there. That was on Saturday mornings, until I discovered soccer, which was Saturday mornings. And I wanted to go run around and play with my friends. And so my folks said, okay, and I stopped going to CCD. And looking back and remembering, coloring books with cavemen riding on dinosaurs, I'm like, thank God that I escaped that. And ended up playing sports for the next 12, 14 years of my life, where I learned everything I know about teamwork and leadership and dealing with failure and experiencing success and victory as something that has value because you put the hard work into it. All of that I got playing sports. Sorry, lost my thread there for a second. The thing about, I remember now. The other thing, we stopped going to church, except we were like the holidays, the Christmas and Easter Catholics, is what we do, midnight mass sort of thing. And I don't know why that was necessarily, because my folks, as I said, were raised very hardcore Catholic, but it turned out that we're rather easygoing about it when it all came down to it. And when we all sort of collectively felt like, Sundays, let's just stay in, be together, hang out. That's great. And I would watch PBS, and I would watch Doctor Who, and it would blow my mind. And my folks would say, oh, here's a bunch of science fiction authors. Brenda, I recognized every author that she mentioned. I just didn't know that was a cue for us to respond. respond. I was right there. And PBS also had Carl Sagan and Cosmos, which blew my mind. And I'm like, oh, well, let's get some encyclopedias, which are like Wikipedia, but paper and with editors. And as I look back at all those decisions that I was allowed to make and that I was encouraged to make, every time there was an opportunity, I was allowed to pursue it. Every time I had a question, I was allowed to try to find the way I wanted to answer it, and to just go and be curious and question. And so, as I look back at the idea of God or any kind of divinity in my life, I've gone far away from church, and I have issues with church for many reasons. Although this current Pope, I'm thinking, wow, it's kind of cool. Right. There's like deep down inside, I'm still kind of Catholic, and I'm like, dude, go Francis. But all of that kind of aside, whatever divinity there is, I think it's just kind of flowed through my parents and what they gave me, which I wouldn't have had on my own. So if there's somebody looking out or whatever, it's sort of through them. And if I'm, quote unquote, blessed in some way, if God's hand is working in my life, it's through them. And I feel extremely lucky and blessed to have had that. And that's something that I would like to, pay forward in my life, which I think, for me, is more important than catechism, rote, reading this, learning that, memorizing this. It's the context behind the lessons. It's the substance behind the words that you have to pass along. And I think no matter what religion or what philosophy you have, the positive elements of all of those are common. I think that's kind of what I'm